It's a bright and beautiful Saturday morning, July 7th, 2026. Calvin Castine on Chazy Landing at Sax's Landing, we sometimes call this particular spot. We're going to find out a whole lot about the history of Chazy Landing and this area. And they picked a perfect day to do it. We're looking forward to this event. We're here at John Sax's property and appreciate him finding room for everybody. And looks like they've got a tent set up and everything here, and a long list of speakers. We're going to take a quick look at the program. We'll start off with patriotic tribute from Lori Salamando Porter, then welcoming remarks from the county chairperson, opening prayer by Mr. Stickney, Pledge of Allegiance, raising of the flag, Legion Post 1619. I see Post 912 is here also. Mr. Stickney representing Post 769, I should mention. The Veterans of Chazy presentation by Thaddeus Booth Trudeau. There's a POW MIA table. Robert St. John's going to read In Flanders Field. We'll have America the Beautiful with Alex Misek and Andrew West, and then closing remarks by Mr. Henry. Patriotic tribute from Lori Salamando Porter. Now Mark Henry, Chairman of the County Legislature, will be heading to the podium. And we'll move our camera up.
Yay! Good morning, all. Can you hear me? Yeah. Excellent. Thank you for inviting me here today. For those of you who may not know, my name is Mark Henry. I am chairman of the Clinton County Legislature. Along with my partner in crime, Calvin Castine, we are honored to serve you and the Clinton County Legislature, and I'm here on their behalf. What a glorious day we have for this. My goodness, it could not be better. Ellen told me to keep this short, so I shall. We are here today, obviously, to honor the veterans of the Revolutionary War, but all veterans up to today, for all wars, for all the services, and currently serving. The military oftentimes seems to be a family affair. If you look back through some of the names that are in the, I think, the back of your program, there's old names that go way, way back, the Montes, the Laframboise, the Chartiers. You won't find the Henrys in there. We are not from this area. But we do have a family of military service. My grandfather served in World War I in Europe. My father and my 6 uncles served in World War II in the Pacific and in Europe. And I left college. Well, I left. It was a mutual agreement to join the military in 1968. So our family goes back at least to World War I and probably farther back than that. So honoring our veterans here today is always something that's close to my heart. We do that often in the legislature, and I'm certainly pleased to see that here in Chazy in this area, we are doing the same. And we're grateful that Ellen and everybody else put this together. The military is an important thing from when it started till now. They're there to protect the nation. They're there to learn service before self and to preserve freedom. And to be part of that is something that's important to all of us. So thank you all for coming. I look forward to the rest of the event. I will be back at the end to say goodbye. And again, a warm welcome. Thank you for all you do. And I will certainly be thanking you all at the end of it. Thank you. Mr. Stickman, I believe you have the... Thank you, sir.
Almighty God, we are gathered here to honor our fallen dead, all who paid with their lives for one of the many devilish ways that man has contrived to maim or kill his fellow man. By bomb, bullet, shell, mine, fire, water, starvation, torture, disease. Some of them rest here, others at the ocean floor. Others still are but the scattered ashes of plummeting human torches. We beseech you to care for all those who have closed their eyes in these ways, and the shadows and foggy twilight that makes up this world, and in your mercy to enable them to open them on full glory and warmth of you. In your name's sake, amen. May their souls and the souls of all departed veterans rest in peace. Amen.
We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now have a tribute to the veterans. There will be a volley of fire followed by the sounding of taps.
Firing party, prepare to fire. Fire! Freeze that. Arms!
Please have a seat, folks. So in putting this ceremony together, Ellen, your town historian, asked me to put together some information on Chazy's military legacy. When folks think about military service to the United States rendered by members of the community, it often stretches a lot farther back, and reaches a lot deeper into that community than people realize on a daily basis. The founding generation of Chazy was full to bursting of service to the nation, nascent as it was at that point. This service took a lot of different paths, from those actively engaged in combat operations as part of American forces during the Revolutionary War, to those whose contributions were unrecorded, as with families of troops who left home, that ensured life went on and there was somewhere for their troops to return home to when all was said and done. Those that served in uniform are better recorded. Just over 900 feet from us here is the Sax's Landing or Chazy Landing Cemetery. And that's the oldest cemetery here in Chazy, and it serves as the resting place for many of the town's settling generation. The cemetery is rather small, covering less than an acre, but in that space, lay at least 7 patriots who took up arms to secure the liberty of our nation. Their service was varied in rank, duration, unit, and intensity of combat operations, but all of it was deeply integral to the securing of liberty from the British Crown for the United States. Francis Chandonnet was one of the earliest to come in. He served as an ensign in Scott's Company of the 1st New Hampshire Regiment from November 18, 1775, through to March of 1778. Towards the end of his service, he was working for the Quartermaster General in Albany, New York, but during his service, he saw action at Trois-Rivières, just up the waterways from here, crossed the Delaware with Washington at Trenton, and again at Princeton, and saw action at Saratoga before weathering the winter at Valley Forge. Seth Graves was a private in the 3rd Connecticut Regiment and mostly served in garrison duty around New York City, which was a critical duty of the Continental Army, because those garrisons pinned down half of the British combat power in North America. Imagine what the British could have done at Trenton, Princeton, Saratoga, or during the later campaigns in the South with double the combat power they had. It was hard enough to get past their forces without that half. Murdoch McPherson is another fellow up here in the Landing Cemetery. He served as an ensign and eventually made 1st Lieutenant in Liebert's Company of Hazen's 2nd Canadian Regiment. He served from February of 1776 until November of 1783, all the way at the end of the war, and saw action at Staten Island, Brandywine, Germantown, the Siege of Yorktown, and witnessed the British surrender there, as well as also serving in those garrisons around New York City. Jabez Ransom was a sergeant in Wells Company, part of the reinforcements for Ticonderoga in 1777, as well as serving during the Saratoga campaign with the Northern Department. He was elected as a lieutenant in the militia later in the war in 1780. Beriah Thomas was an old fighter. He'd already seen action defending what would become the United States during the French and Indian War, where he served during the slaughter battle of Carillon in 1758. He served in the Revolution, with Hopkins Regiment of New York Militia, seeing active service in 1777 and 79. John Douglas spent his 18th year on the earth in the American Army as a private in Sloan's Company of the 1st Massachusetts. He possibly saw action at Trois-Rivières, but that's not certain. It is certain, though, that on Christmas night of 1776, he and his regiment were part of Brigadier General St. Clair's column at Trenton. The brigade entered the lower end of town near the bridge over Assumption Creek and engaged the Hessians on King Street. He was one of the men inspired by General Washington's impassioned plea for them to stay for one more month, and thus also saw action in the critical American victory at Princeton, becoming one of the 13-month men that followed Washington's plea. After the war, he eventually became a captain in the Clinton County Militia through the acclamation of his peers, as his gravestone tells us. And finally, for the ones in the Landing Cemetery, there's Benjamin Graves. He was a private in the 6th Connecticut Regiment, Kirtland's Company, and saw action during the Siege of Boston, the Battle of Trenton and Princeton, Meigs's raid, stormed British entrenchments with an unloaded musket and fixed bayonets at Stony Point, and saw action during the Siege of Yorktown. He seems to have developed rheumatism at Valley Forge during that harsh winter there from 77 to 78, and at one point he seems to have served as a servant to General Washington, who gifted him a fowling piece as a mark of personal esteem. Now, those Rev War vets are by no means the only ones in Chazy. There's plenty of them. Clinton County overall has at least 272 Revolutionary War vets that lived here, and many of whom are buried here. But a small selection of others from Chazy, Jean-Baptiste Laframboise, one of the folks that Mr. Henry mentioned a few minutes ago, he was one of the first settlers here in Clinton County, and he served in Livingston's 1st Canadian and Hazen's 2nd Canadian Regiment. His son, Jacques, served as a private and then corporal in Allen's company of Livingston's regiment, seeing action at Fort Stanwix and the Battle of Rhode Island. Francis Monty, another one of those early names, was a charter member of the Society of Cincinnati, being a first lieutenant in Livingston's 1st Canadian Regiment from November of 1775 all the way through the end of that regiment's existence on New Year's Day, 1781. He was part of the storming of Quebec as part of Montgomery's column and saw the first American general killed in action. Fought at the Battle of Trois-Rivières, the siege of Fort Stanwix, and was fighting in the heat of the action at the Battle of Rhode Island, where he took a musket shot to the left thigh, and then saw service as part of the garrisons around New York. After his service with the 1st Canadian Regiment ended, he served as a, quote, volunteer in Gosselin's company of Hazen's 2nd Canadian Regiment during the Yorktown campaign. And as I said, he was a charter member of the New York Society of Cincinnati. His son, Francis Jr., also served with Livingston's regiment and as a volunteer in Hazen's regiment and saw service in the exact same places as his father. And these folks weren't just in the founding generation of first people that came to Chazy. There's another one up in Riverview Cemetery that I know well. There's a slight bit of nepotism because he's a grandfather of mine. Asa Stearns moved to Chazy later in life, but he lived here from at least the 1830s until his death in 1852. He moved here to be with his daughter and son-in-law. He had a full life before that, though. He saw action at Bunker Hill with Ward's regiment, served with them for 20 months before joining the 1st New Hampshire Regiment. Saw action at White Plains, crossed the Delaware, fought at Saratoga, saw Burgoyne's surrender, survived Valley Forge, fought at Monmouth, and then he obviously hadn't had enough because he then went off to be a privateer. Go figure. Prize money must be good. As can be seen, this is an extremely abbreviated role of honor for the then future residents of Chazy that rendered service to the United States long before they lived in Chazy. They saw action all over the place: Bunker Hill, Quebec City, Trenton, Princeton, Saratoga, New York, and the siege of Yorktown. Some of the names that loom large throughout the American understanding of our revolution. But that's not the end of it. It's not any wonder with that kind of a founding that Chazy saw extensive service coming from it through the 250 years since. This service is seen in cross-section in the cemetery just over here. It's the resting place of some of those that saw service during the War of 1812. Chazy certainly felt the impact of the War of 1812 with a whole army marching through it. That would do it. The Sachs family, whose property we're on here, lost their first store to fire during Murray's raid and one of their warehouses. Their warehouses were robbed by British troops more than once. Benjamin Graves, the Revolutionary War vet we just spoke about a minute ago, one of his sons was killed in action on September 6th at Culper Hill in 1814. At least 58 men from Chazy saw active militia service during the Battle of Plattsburgh campaign. 3 of them were wounded in action, and 3 were briefly prisoners of war before the British retreat. Service was again called for from Chazy during the American Civil War. As of the 1860 census, there were 3,399 people living in Chazy. Of these, about 17%, 577, were military-aged men. From these men were formed Company H of the 60th New York Volunteers, Company F of the 96th New York Volunteer Infantry, Companies B and I, and Company B and I of the 118th New York Infantry. These weren't the only units, though. These were only the units that were fully drawn from this area. We know for certain that Chazy residents saw service with the 16th New York Infantry and the 9th New York Cavalry. These folks saw action at Gaines Mill, Antietam, Chancellorsville, Gettysburg, Cold Harbor, Petersburg, the Crater, Beverly Ford, and Brandy Station. Again, some of the most well-known and pivotal places during the American Civil War. Folks from Chazy saw active service. Now, Many of those guys came home and went through the rest of their lives here in Chazy, but Chazy certainly did not remain untouched. First Lieutenant Albert Ransom was the orderly or adjutant of 34th New York Volunteer Infantry, and he was killed in action, well, he died of wounds received at the Battle of Fredericksburg in 1862. Sergeant Manson E. Gilbert, Company M, 9th New York Volunteer Cavalry, was killed in action in September of 1864 as part of General Sheridan's Shenandoah Valley campaign. He was 21 years, 2 months, and 6 days old. Corporal Edgar Langfeld of Company K, 16th New York Infantry, was killed in action at the Battle of Gaines Mill. Private James Harvey McCullough of Company M, 9th New York Cavalry, died of starvation at Andersonville Prison on March 3rd, 1865. He was 32 and a half years old and was one of the 13,000 men who died at Andersonville of the 45,000 incarcerated there. Chazy citizens once again saw extensive service during the First World War, and again, this is seen in the Landing Cemetery. William H. Simmons serves as a cook in the 303rd Infantry Regiment with the 76th Division in France. Emerson Ladd Sachs served as a sergeant with the United States Army Signal Corps during the First World War, stationed with an aeronautical squadron out near Chicago. And again, there's an example of the harsh realities of combat service. The American Legion post here in town is named for Russell Brooks Childs, who was 21 years old when he was killed in action on October 20th, 1918, as a private in Company D of the 312th Infantry Regiment, 78th Division. Chazy's service certainly didn't end with World War I. During the Second World War, our nation found itself at war again, and once again, Chazy answered the call. William Vincent, who's here in the Landing Cemetery, served as a private first class in the headquarters company of the 513th Parachute Infantry Regiment, which was assigned to the 17th Airborne Division and heavily engaged during the Battle of the Bulge, Operation Varsity, and the final advance into Germany. During his service, he earned the Bronze Star. And there's another fellow up here in the Landing Cemetery, Robert T. Booth. He wasn't originally from Chazy, but he married a Sax and spent much of his life here. He spent a large part of his life just over the fence there. He served with distinction in the Second World War, where he was a forward observer with the field artillery, became a prisoner of war, and for his services and injuries was awarded not only the Silver Star, but the Purple Heart. I won't dwell on him for long because he's rather personal to me as my grandfather. Once again, the Second World War is not the end. During the Korean War, William M. Sweet, who's buried up in the Ladd Cemetery, served with the United States Army. William H. Skip Sachs serves as a corporal in the United States Army stateside during the Korean War. We know for a fact, just because it's not seen in the Landing Cemetery, that the Vietnam War and more current conflicts have also drawn folks from Chazy who have seen active service. As can be seen from even this small cross-section of the service rendered from Chazy that we have here in the Landing Cemetery, the fact that military service veterans and the way that they impact society has always been a major part of Chazy, and it certainly still is today. Would anybody that's a veteran here today please raise their hand or stand up just so that we can look around and see?
Hand up. Here you go.
Well, I probably speak for everyone, and I hope I do, when I say thank you for your service for the nation and for continuing one heck of a tradition that Chazy's had for 200 years plus.
Can everybody hear me okay without the mic?
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Robert St. John. I'm the Clinton County American Legion Adjutant. With me here today is Cliff Sterling, who is the Clinton County American Legion Commander, and also members of the Chazy Legion Post here with us. Since this is covering all veterans from the Revolutionary War right through to the present, Ellen asked me to come here and do the POW MIA table ceremony. Those who have served and those currently serving and the uniformed services of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and imprisonment. The POW MIA table you will normally see at every Legion and VFW post. It is in place in honor of those that were prisoners of war or missing in action. We call them comrades. They are unable to be with their loved ones and families, so we join to pay humble tribute to them and bear witness to their continued absence. The POW MIA table, a place setting for one, a table for all. You may notice this small table here in a place of honor. This table is our way of symbolizing that members of our profession of arms are missing from our midst. They are commonly called POWs or MIAs. We call them brothers. The table is smaller than others, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner against his or her oppressors. The round table shows our concern for them is never ending. The white tablecloth draped over the table represents the purity of their response to their country's call to arms. The empty chair depicts an unknown face, representing no specific soldier, sailor, airman, or marine, but all who are not here with us. The black napkin stands for the emptiness these warriors have left in the hearts of their families and friends. The single red rose reminds us of their families and loved ones. The red ribbon around the vase represents the love of our country, which inspired them to answer the nation's call. The candle and its yellow ribbon symbolize the everlasting hope for a joyous reunion with those yet unaccounted for. The slice of lemon on the plate represents the family's tears as they wait. The inverted wine glass reminds us that our distinguished comrades cannot be with us to drink a toast or join in the festivities of today. The American flag reminds us that many of them may never return and have paid the supreme sacrifice to ensure our freedom. Remember all you who have served with them and called them comrades, who depended on their might and aid and relied on them, for surely they have not forsaken you. Ellen has also asked me to read the poem Flanders Field. Just a little background, the author of Flanders Fields is Dr. John McCrae, who was a physician and a major in the 1st Canadian contingent during World War I. McCrae's well-known poem memorializes the April 1915 battle in Flanders, Belgium. For 17 days, McCrae tended to those injured in battle. The poem, written after the death of a close friend, was first published in a magazine named Punch and led to the adoption of the poppy as the flower of remembrance for the British and Commonwealth war dead. The red poppy became the official national symbol of remembrance in the United States in 1920, when the American Legion adopted it as its emblem to honor soldiers who served and died in World War I. In Flanders Fields. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow. Between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard among the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from falling hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high, if ye break faith with us who die. We shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. Thank you.
I'll try it without a microphone as well. Can you all hear me? Okay. For our penultimate speaker, before we close this out, we have been speaking somewhat today the names, Clinton County in particularly of Chazy. And one name that is familiar to you all, I believe, certainly to Calvin and I, is Jerry Favreau. our president of the Clinton County Historical Association, who has graciously found the time to come here today to speak about a project that she's been working on for quite a while. So Jerry, please come in. You need help with that, Jerry?
Yes.
I can
Hold it,
I
please.
can what do you call it, a storyboard?
It's a wayside exhibit or an interpretive panel.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be your tripod. Or whatever.
Everybody needs a tripod, right? Is it turned on?
I don't think it's on. I don't think it's on, Jerry. Switch.
Want to hear every word.
Push it up.
Put that up, there you go.
How about now?
There you go.
Okay. Everybody needs a tripod, right? And this is the perfect one. So I am president of the board at Clinton County Historical. I'm also chair of the America 250 Committee for Clinton County. I try to make as many events as I can. Can't make them all, but I try. So today, I'm very honored to be here and to be asked to say a few words. My family is World War II. My mother and father both served. My father also served in North Africa and Europe, and also he served in the Korean War. My children, through the Favreau family, are related to Clement Goslin. Don't ask me how, that's all I know. So you have to ask the experts. Somebody I would really like to recognize before we get into the panel is the McCullen family that went around in the 1930s and transcribed hundreds and thousands of grapes of markers. Had it not been for them, a lot of the information would have been lost, including a marker that they presented, that Woodman presented last night at Riley's Point on the border of Champlain and Chazy, St. John's Cemetery in Plattsburgh, the old cemetery in Cherubusco. Had they not gone around and spent a couple of years, I think at least, right, Calvin, doing that, the information in a lot of those cemeteries would be lost or would be very, very difficult to get. So I think we really need to thank them a lot for what they did for us and our history. So, the Clinton County Historical Association had an opportunity a couple of years ago to do a grant through the Champlain Valley National Heritage Partnership. We had $40,000 to spend, and we have spent just about all of it. We did programs, we did speakers, and a bunch of other things. But one of the things that we had money to do 9 wayside exhibits. And this is an example of one that's coming to Chazy. We did 2 for the crew boat launch. We've got 3 going to Rouse's Point. We have 3 for the Battlefield Memorial Gateway, and we have this one for Chazy. When this is a copy, when the real one comes, it will be bilingual, and that side over there will be in French. They're all done bilingual. I believe, if I have not paid attention, that along the lakeshore road there are markers for Benedict Arnold, right? We have Benedict Arnold's, we have a gun carriage from his flagship Royal Savage in our museum. I encourage you to come and to see it. I tell people, who do you know has something that's 250 years old? Benedict Arnold, Lake Champlain, Revolutionary War. Smithsonian, New York State Museum, Fort Ty, Lake Champlain Maritime Museum, and Clinton County Historical. The Clinton County Historical Association Museum belongs to all of you. We are about the whole county, and I encourage you to come and see our museum. But so I want to present this to Ellen in the town of Chazy. It is up to them to choose where they're going to have it installed, and I'm sure that when they do that, you'll probably invite people to come again. So thank you, everybody, for coming here. Thank you for John Sachs for this wonderful, wonderful place to doesn't get better than this. So, okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you. Well, that does conclude our ceremonies, I believe, unless I'm told otherwise. That does conclude our ceremonies. I would like to thank the many people that were involved in this. John Sachs, of course, for his property here and the use of it. Eileen Adams, the American Legion Post 769, American Legion Post 1619, John Rock, Bob St. John, Steve Lapierre, Tina Trombley, Grace Pothoff, John Riley, and of course, none of this happens without our Chazy Town historian, Ellen Riley. So please give with a lot of help from folks behind the scenes, they put all this together. It's been a great event, and I believe you have a website, the town of Chazy, if you want to get further information on this or pretty much anything else. Clinton County Historical Association is always available to you, as is the website and Ellen at the town historian's office. So thank you, enjoy the rest of the day, and thank you all very much. Good afternoon.